Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sreetips here, and we've got some gold that I've been hanging on to here that we're going to try to refine. This is our 14K gold here, and we've got 133.0 grams of 14K. Zero the scale out. This is our 10K gold, and we've got 13.3 grams of 10K gold. I've calculated how much sterling silver I need to quart this gold. I need 176.6 grams, and I've pre-weighed some silver here, and I've got 167.8 grams. Calls for 176.6, so we're a little under, but that's okay. We're going to go with this amount of sterling silver to properly quart this amount of gold. The water out of here. If I sound funny talking, it's because I've had COVID for the last week and a half, So now what we'll do is we'll transfer our gold into this beaker. Here's our gold down in our beaker, quartered with silver. Here's our quartered gold in a clean beaker. Now what I'm going to do is add some distilled water to cover the quartered gold. Now I'm adding nitric acid, an equal amount, to form a 50-50 dilute nitric acid solution in our quartered gold. Cover this up. Give it a stir. And we'll set this up on the heat over here and start pulling the silver and base metals out of the quartered gold with hot dilute nitric acid boils. This has been on boiling now for about 45 minutes to an hour. This is our first nitric acid boil. It's complete, so we're going to pour off this blue liquid into our silver jar. The remaining excess nitric in that liquid will get consumed by the silver that's in our silver jar. Now what I'll do is add some more water, distilled water. And now I'm going to add an equal amount of nitric acid. And this will be nitric acid boil number 2. What we've done here is added silver to the gold to reduce the carat of the gold down to about 25% pure gold, 75% base metals and silver. It's called inquartation. And we pull it back out with these hot nitric acid boils. And we'll leave the gold behind and pull the silver and the base metals back out with these hot nitric acid boils. The second nitric boil has been going now for about an hour and a half. And we're going to pour this off now into our silver jar. As we do this, the nitric boils, the blue color in there, that comes from the copper out of the silver that we quartered into our gold. And as these nitric boils progress, you'll see less and less of a blue color. And that tells us that we're getting pretty close to having all of the silver and base metals pulled out of there. Now we're going to add a little bit of distilled water. And then some more nitric. And this will be nitric acid boil number 3. Adding the sterling silver to the gold reduced the gold content down to around 25%. And with the gold content this low, we can use nitric acid boils to pull all of the silver and base metals out of here. But it will leave the gold untouched as high purity gold once these nitric boils are complete. This third nitric boil is complete. I can tell when the nitric boils are done when I don't get any more fume production inside of my beaker. So we're just going to pour this acid off now into our silver jar, save it. It'll still dissolve silver. Plus it will have a little bit of silver in it. You'll notice that the blue color is starting to come out of the gold now. Some water in here. I'll add a little bit more nitric acid. And this will be nitric boil number 4. This has been on for about an hour and a half. Nitric boil number 4 is complete. I'm going to pour this off into our silver jar. I'm going to add some water. Put some nitric in there. And this will be nitric boil number 5. This is nitric boil number 6. It's been on here for about an hour. And if you look, the liquid still has a little bit of a color to it, and that's a good indication that we still got copper and silver that we're pulling out of here. So what we'll do is empty this out now. Yeah, you can see the solution's still green. And if we're pulling copper, that means we're probably pulling a little bit of silver as well. So let's get this all rinsed out of here. I'm going to add a little bit more distilled water. And some more nitric acid. And this will be nitric boil number 6. This is our nitric boil number 6. It's complete. It's been on now for about an hour. What we'll do is, if you look at that, you can see there's not really any color in there at all. It's nice and colorless and clear. We're just going to pour this off into our silver jar back here. That's still good hot dilute nitric acid that can dissolve silver, so we want to save it on our silver jar. Alright, let's put this now. up here. And we'll get ready to go to the next step. Over here I've got some silver that I've peeled off candlestick holders and salt and pepper shakers and so forth. We'll burn this and add it to the silver jar to consume any excess nitric that's left in that liquid, which there will be plenty. I'm going to do that off camera. Right now we're going to proceed with our gold refining. Alright, here's what our gold looks like. It's had all the silver and the base metals removed from it down in the bottom of our beaker now. That's high purity gold right there, just like it is. No further refining is required. But in order to get it to 3/9, what we're going to do is we're going to dissolve this in aqua regia now and refine it with some aqua regia. I'm adding some hydrochloric acid. It's about 80 grams of gold here, so I'm going to add about 300 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. Here you can see I get an immediate reaction because there's some residual nitric acid left in there that's reacting with hydrochloric acid, form aqua regia, and starts dissolving the gold immediately. I've got some sulfuric acid. I'm going to add some sulfuric acid to this now to precipitate out any lead that may be present. Now we'll move this up on the heat and start heating this up a little bit. Here's the unquarted gold that's had the silver removed. Nitric boils. I've got a beaker here. I'm going to measure out about 35 milliliters of, now let's make it 40 milliliters of nitric acid. Just a little under 40 milliliters. And what we'll do is pour that right on in now. This will make aqua regia in here. This should be enough to dissolve all of our gold. Got all the gold to go in solution now. What we'll do is pull it down off the heat and we'll let this cool off now. I've got a filter flask set up here with a medium flow filter in it. And now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and filter our solution. I've added some ice to cool it off and to precipitate out any silver chloride that might be present. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in our filter now and pull it through the filter. Here's what's left in our filter. So we'll get that color rinsed out of there. All that junk got removed. And what we'll do now is we'll gather this solution up, put it in a clean beaker, and precipitate out the gold. Got the filter rinsed out now. What we'll do is transfer the gold solution into a clean beaker here. And now what we'll do is add some stump out. Stump out is sodium metabisulfite. This will precipitate out the pure gold from our solution. Here we go. We're going to add a spoon of stump out. Here we go. That should do it. If you look down on the bottom, you'll see the gold is settling out down on the bottom of this beaker. And so now we'll just let this settle completely and go from here. I've allowed the gold to settle for about a half an hour. You can see most of it settled out down on the bottom. And what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up a temporary waste container. We're going to pour the gold refining waste now out of this beaker, the solution, separate the solution from our gold, pour it off into this container. And here's what our gold looks like. Gold sponge down in the bottom of our beaker. I've got all the chemicals rinsed off now. The gold is settling quickly and cleanly, which tells me that we're to a point where we've got the gold rinsed free of all the excess chemicals, the SNB. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to add another about 400 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. And I'm going to add some sulfuric acid. Take care of any lead that might have made it this far into the process. Alrighty, now we'll add some nitric acid to form aqua regia in here, and we're going to dissolve this gold a second time. 40 seemed to work pretty good for us last time, so let's oh, that's 60. That's way too much, so I'm going to pour in about 40 milliliters here. There's 20 left over. That should be about 40 milliliters now. We'll put this up on the heat and let this start to dissolve. Everything's gone into solution. I'm going to pull this down off the heat now and let this cool off. I've iced the gold down a second time. Solution looks real clear, which indicates we have some high purity gold here. Now we're going to pour it through this filter again. And this time we should have a minimum of stuff in here. Hardly anything. Every time you dissolve the gold and reprecipitate, the gold becomes more pure through each cycle of dissolving and reprecipitating. I've got all the solution pulled through the filter now. I'm going to rinse this out and get all the color rinsed out of the filter paper. And now what we'll do is we'll transfer the liquid into a clean beaker. Here's the filter paper, clean as a whistle. And now I've got a beaker with a few ice cubes in it to keep it cool during the precipitation. And we'll add, look at that solution, crystal clear and beautiful, which means we've probably got us some nice high purity gold in this refining. Add that solution to that beaker. And now what we'll do, I've got some Stump Out here by Bonide. Stump Out by Bonide is sodium metabisulfite. And so we're going to go ahead and start adding the SMB to the gold solution and precipitating out the pure gold. That first spoon always looks spectacular. And then we'll just start adding some more spoons until we've got all of the gold precipitated out of the chloroauric acid solution. I think it takes about 6 or 8 spoons. I watch for a head of foam on top of the solution. And when I see that head of foam, that tells me that we've, right there, that we pretty much got everything precipitated now. Got some boiling distilled water right here. And what we're going to do is pour the waste solution off of our gold. Looks like I got a little bit of colloidal gold forming up at the top rim there. Going to go ahead and dump this off now. Alrighty, here's what our gold is looking like down in the bottom of the beaker. Now what we'll do is use some boiling distilled water. I'm going to rinse the gold over and over until we get all the chemicals rinsed off of here. me see if I can bust up that clump. Let's get our gold into a melt dish. All right, let's go over to the melt table. And we're going to melt this up some gold here. Okay, here's our pure gold bar. Looks pretty good. Got a little bit of crud over here on the surface on this right hand side, but man, that's a high purity gold bar. Looks beautiful. And this is my first refining, my first video after having COVID. So we got to wait on this. We were expecting 83 grams. I got 82.3. And that's 2.6 troy ounces of pure gold. Very happy with this. Looks fantastic. This will have to be sold. Again, I'm trying to pay my debt down to zero. We're doing it with gold. So this will have to be sold. Alrighty, 2.6 troy ounces. This will conclude the video. Thank you for watching.